Doing a little update video on the Corvette. Haven't posted it in a while. Couple of reasons. Um, Primarily the last couple of months I've been dealing with getting the registration and the tags set up on the car. And I finally got that worked out, and I got some antique. I went ahead and got antique tags for the car. Here in Texas, that's pretty straightforward. I don't have to worry about getting the inspection, but the car could pass inspection. Everything works on it pretty much. So I have been. This picture right here is in front of a place that does chassis dynos, or you can put your car on the dyno. So I've been driving the car around slightly, with the bad tags on it, trying to do a little bit of tuning, and I was just kind of running into all kinds of issues with it. It seemed like it run well, and then maybe a little rich, and then it'd start fouling plugs. And right as I was pulling up to this place, they have a thing called Dyno DAYZ for $75. Bring your car in. It seemed like it started missing a little bit. I do only have one electric fan on the radiator, and that's probably not enough. The car seemed like it was starting to get a little hot, and that may have affected the tune quite a bit. I obviously had this air cleaner, quasi duct tape on the front. I mean, I'm a zip tie drags guy, so I didn't really care about trying to impress people. The bottom line is the car made about 270 horsepower at the wheel, which is below at least the 300 or 330, which you should be able to get out of a stock, well-running, 5.3. This one doesn't have a water pump or a fan on it. It's got a water pump, obviously, and it's got the dual exhaust, and it's got an LS1 cam, so it should be easily somewhere in the 350 horsepower range. But I was just chasing some gremlins, so I have done a couple of things to the car since this was January 30th, February 1st time frame. And I was just going to kind of talk about that a little bit. So this was a video, little Rambletron I did. As you can see, I put the tube back on the front here and have driven it since then with the MAF up front. And that really didn't change anything. So it still would have this issue to where it'd run great, maybe when it's cold, and then it starts, as it warms up, it starts running worse, which has got me thinking that I need to go into the HP tuner and start turning off a bunch of tables. So when I went to the dyno, I did meet a local guy that's supposedly a semi-decent tuner, and he says he's going to try to help me out. Sorry for the orientation on the screen, but bottom line is I went ahead and got some new coils for it. These are some cheapy $80 super specials, new plug wires, and obviously the motor has been junkyard rebuilt, re-ringed, cam bearings, main bearings. Looks like the oil pump had already been changed. 862 heads, used LS1, 470, 480 something cam, and this thing ought to be running pretty good. I did replace this hose right here because it seemed like the factory hard plastic one was leaking. You could press in and out here and it was sucking air. I did, a friend of mine came over and said, hey, that TPS looks like it was cracked. So I did replace that. Here's some pictures of he also brought me over some nitrous stuff, just some kind of old junk he had. And that was pretty nice of him with a little bit of a fogger kit. So can't really do the nitrous if the motor's not running right and I don't get the electronics right. I did up here pick up some 853 heads, LS1 heads with big springs and trunnions for cheap. These things had been rebuilt. So I'm looking at maybe using those on the next motor. Let's see. Yeah. Car's basically been the same. Other than the TPS, I did right in here, I wired in a Dakota. I may have already talked about this. I bought the Dakota VSS encoder, and I hooked it up between I took out the the cruise control module that was up underneath here, and then I just screwed in the VSS module to kind of help the computer understand that the car is moving, and it seemed to make a big difference when I'm pulling up to lights and the car doesn't die like it would before. Again, this big old massive tube on here, I'm probably going to put this back here with the air cleaner, but I'll have to do some math tuning. So I'm just kind of scrolling through these pictures. Yeah, there's the coil. It does seem to run a lot better, a lot crisper with the new coils. And again, the junk that was on this the motor was running, but it's probably had 200,000 miles on it. So it makes sense to me to just go ahead and replace the electronics. I did go ahead and take the I guess the evaporator out and the AC part right here, because I couldn't get to this plug right here. And anyway, that AC equipment is out of date with the newer Freon anyway. This car is not going to have AC. It's going to be, something that I cruise around in and go drag racing. But I still want it to be a street car, but I don't need AC. So now you can see there's a lot more room in here. I did also I replaced both O2 sensors. I was getting some codes inside of HP Tuner that were complaining about the first O2 sensor, so I replaced that. And this is the second one. I went ahead and replaced the second one because it was throwing codes, and at the time I couldn't figure out how to read them and what they meant. So it did, as you could see, I got an AM AFR gauge. I did weld in and hook this up to the right hand side of the motor. And right now it's just freestanding. The gauges I got hooked up on the dash, so I can kind of see what's going on, but I don't have it hooked up to HP tuners yet. There's several different ways you could do that. One of the people I was watching used the EGR analog line in. I have a little bit different setup than he does. So I'm going to be looking to see if I can't hook the output from the AFR analog wire directly into the computer, and then use that analog channel inside of HP tuners. I didn't get the Pro version of the HP Tuner MVP2 Pro. I got the cheaper one. But you know, if you use your brains and you get online, you can find out other slicker ways of doing things. It's got a serial port as well. But I'm going to try to figure that out, and then I'll do a video on it. So, you know, the car has been, now that I've kind of changed a bunch of stuff, I have to go in and kind of retune it. So the other thing I found out is that, and this is an old tune file, 11720. This is right around when I got the car running. I've got several different tunes, and I found out that on one of the tunes I was running, this transmission type got stuck back to 4L60E. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't have a 4L60E. It's got this an auto electric in it. So, and that will change the characteristics of the car. I actually changed it to manual, and the car completely freaked out, and it wouldn't accelerate even at an idle. So I don't know enough about that to what's going on. The other thing I found out with torque management is that, well, see, I say abuse mode is disabled, but you can see the RPM range right here is super low. And where was that? Torque converter, torque management. I was just looking at it. General abuse mode. This software does some weird things. There's another page on here. TPS, all this. So, you know, the other thing I'm running into is that when I'm really getting on it in this car, it will fall over on its face, probably about 5-6 grand. So I don't think this was set, even though it's a manual or it's a non-electric auto. These are things I have to learn how to do, and I'm going to have more videos on that. If I had a 4L60 in it or 4L80, it might behave a little bit and make a little bit more power because I'm not fighting the computer. So I ran into that on some of these different tunes. I don't have the latest greatest one, but I'm going to go over this, what I did, especially with the speedo. See, these are all the original settings. These are wrong when you use the VSS input. There's a limiter right there. Probably need to look at this as well. So I'm going to have my tuner guy kind of walk through this HP tuners. I'll make a video on it. I know I keep saying that, but I want to get the car running right, seriously running right before, and maybe another chassis dyno run before I you know, tell people you know, this is what I did in HP tuners. So that's kind of where I'm at. I was working on the hood a little bit. This kind of looks like crap. I was going to change some things in here. This was the summertime, and in Texas it gets so freaking hot that you can't stand it. So it looks a little bit better than this, but I might just go buy the, you have to buy a 57 to 60 inch cowl hood, you know, for something to fit on a Corvette, just the scoop part, and I was too cheap to do that. So this is some of the original regrafted in, and it just kind of looks like crap. So I might keep playing around with this hood, but I'm going to start, you know, getting involved with the body work. Let's see. The other thing I did was I bought the little lowering shackle, or the strut, whatever it's frickin' called, the bolts, 6-inch bolts to lower the rear end. I might have to change this again because I don't know what it is with Microsoft software. It makes no frickin' sense how to use it. I had another picture. I got some pretty stout rims for this thing and tires. But right now it sits a little bit lower in the rear end, and I like that part. So that's kind of it. It's just going through and changing out some of the electronics to get the thing, chasing gremlins right now. The next project I got going with the LS swap theme is I did pick up this little OBS 93. Paid a little too much for it, but it's had some motor work done to it. It is a little V6, but this is something for my son. I did buy these little rims here for $300 and slapped them on, and I'm currently got a flip kit for the back, and I'm going to lower the front. So this is going to kind of be a little daily driver for my son. And these trucks are super hot right now, and this one is totally straight as far as the body. It's just the clear coats coming off. I don't even care about that. I'll probably start doing primer on it here shortly. This one, eventually I want to put the Vette motor 5.3 into this one with a 4L60 that I still have. So this will be a whole video set as well, and it's pretty straightforward to put LS's in these things, so I think that'll be fun. But I've got to start building the other motor for the Corvette, and I don't have the 6.0 yet. Got the heads, but that's going to be next year. Main thing is getting this thing tuned. And not only getting it tuned to where it's the most power I can make on 93. This is a flex fuel motor. It's got 36-pound flex fuel injectors in it, and I plan on buying the flex fuel module for it and running E85 in it. So then that would be a whole set of tuning as well. So try to get this car into the 12s. I don't see why it can't do that with the, looks like it's got a little 373 gear, but I haven't actually seen the numbers on the gear. It's just doing some calculations at the wheel, and obviously getting some some sticky tires. Like I showed, I have the nitrous kit, little dual fogger nozzle, 2-in-1 with some cheater solenoids. I'm going to be going over that, but this car we got to get this thing making about 330, 325, 350 on motor. There's just no reason why it can't do that when you look at some of these other videos of these guys just pulling these things out of the junkyard, especially with the little, with the cam in it. It should be at least doing 350. So no sense in trying to spray it because that's a whole other tune. I've got the fuel system that can handle it, but got to get this thing right, got to get it looking a little bit better, and then go through the rest of the car. I don't know if I had mentioned, I did go ahead and put front calipers on it. They were leaking. They looked like they were semi-original, and then one of the other calipers that was new started leaking again, and got that fixed. So I did go ahead and upgrade the little servo valves. Maybe I already talked about this on the headlights to get them to go up and down. That works. I'll probably try to go electric in the future, and then obviously as I do the body work over here, putting the 82 fiberglass rear on the back, and then the little 79 scoop or spoiler on the front. So there's not much more I'm going to do to this car other than clean up the wiring, make everything look sanitary, obviously tuning it and spraying it, that's not going to be too hard to do, and then start working on the second motor, because I want to get I want to get this guy doing a couple burnouts as well. So I'm not making any money off this channel. I'm just trying to spread the love on the OBS, the Vette swaps. So bear with me on what I'm going to be uploading. The next couple of videos are going to be how we took HP tuners, and I really want to do a comprehensive video on this simple Gen 3 HP tuner tunes, because there's a bunch of videos out there and they're all over the place, and I just want it to be simple so people can get in, get their vehicles running, and do a couple of burnouts. So that's all I've got right now, and if you watched this far, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Catch me in a couple weeks.